Chapter 20 Girl and Goddess. They needed to eat. That was something Corinne could take care of. She squeezed the water from her hair and tried to get it out of her face so she could see better. Most of her plaits had come undone, and her thick hair hung around her shoulders. How the mermaids maintained their perfect coils and cornrows living under the sea, she did not know. Malik pointed out a small boy who was sitting with the woman making akra. Corinne stared at him until he looked around nervously and spotted Corinne's face peeking through the grass. She waved him over, and he skipped with a wide smile across his face and dark, curious eyes. Hello? What's your name? Corinne asked. You speak English, the boy said. No tweet? Corinne shook her head. You must be from far, the boy said. I heard some schools only let the students speak English, 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 until they forget their own language. Don't feel bad. I learned English in school, too. Corinne stuck her hand out. I'm Corinne. My name is Kahiri. The boy shook her hand. A slim beaded bracelet spun on his wrist. Kahiri, I would like to buy some akra from you. The boy frowned. You can't buy akra, but you can go there, he said. His voice was melodious and sweet. I mean those, Corinne said, pointing to the woman's large pot. Why would you call them akra? Kahiri looked at Corinne sideways. They make those salt fish cakes in akra, too, but they are not as good as my ma's. Whatever they call them, can we have some? Buki said. The boy strained his neck to see beyond Corinne. How many do you want? He asked. 12, Corinne said. You will have to pay me first. Kahiri put out his hand. I don't have any money, Corinne said, but I can show you something that you have never seen before. Only, you have to keep it a secret. And what will my ma do if I give away her food? How will we live? Nothing you can show me is worth money in my pocket. Corinne stepped aside so the boy could see the mermaid swimming below them. His mouth went slack and his eyes gleamed. You can take a closer look when you bring the akra, Corinne said. They're called saltfish cakes, Kahiri whispered, but I still can't get food from my ma without money. We'll starve, Buki said. Malik patted Drew's pocket. Oh, Drew said. She pulled out the coin she had taken from the shipwreck and passed it to Corinne. What about this? Corinne asked. Kahiri squinted. Where did you get that? Is it enough to pay for breakfast? Kahiri took the coin to his mother. She immediately looked in the direction of the fort on the other side of the beach. His mother called another vendor over. While they turned the coin in their hands, Kahiri packed the akra and slipped away. The children dove into the saltfish cakes greedily as Kahiri crawled to the water close to the chattering mermaids. Which one of them is Mami Wata? He asked. Who? Buki asked. But Malik slapped his hand over his brother's mouth, knocking one of the akra to the ground. Without missing a beat, Buki swiped it up, blew the dirt off, and popped it back in. He made a face. Sandy. Corinne remembered Mami Wata from the wall painting. Why do you think she is one of them? She's a water goddess, and she can look like anything she wants, Kahiri said. They are mermaids. One of them must be her. I'm Mami Wata, Corinne said quickly, ignoring the looks from her friends. I am the goddess, and I'm in charge of them. The boy looked Corinne and the others up and down, then shook his head. You don't look like a goddess to me. You just said I can look like anything, Corinne said. So why do you doubt me? Kahiri grunted. Because I know girls, and you look just like one of those, right down to the way you are trying to fool me. Being one thing and then another is nothing to me, she pointed to the mermaids. They were girls, too. They lived here once. Corinne called to the mermaids. This boy might be able to help us. The mermaids' faces lit up. They talked over each other in that same language the vendors used. Kahiri leaned in, trying to understand all of them at once. Finally, he turned to Corinne and said, Okay, you are real. But are you real? Noe asked. She pulled closer to Kahiri. When the water became too shallow to swim in, she dragged herself, dark blue tail and all, onto the bank. As soon as she touched dry land, her skin began to change. The soft brown of her upper body turned ashen and then puckered. She was drying out in the sun. The color in her blue tail paled, and the fins went from the sparkling silver to a flat, dull gray. Malik and Corinne ran and pulled her back into the water. Noe's skin and scales returned to normal. "Stay where you are," Corinne commanded. "It's not safe for you on land." She turned to Kahiri. "We need your help to find a jewel. It looks like the bottom of the sea?" Kahiri said. "Everybody knows Mami Wata's your stone, and that if you rub it, you will have good luck for life. The woman who owns it is the richest person around." Corinne squared her shoulders and lifted her chin the way she did when she was negotiating. "It's mine, and I need it back," she said. "That won't be easy," said Kahiri. "Ma Dusili doesn't let anybody see it, and she won't believe you're a Mami Wata." "I will just have to convince her," Corinne said. She unbraided the few remaining plaits so she looked more like the painting of Mami Wata. Kahiri raised his eyebrows. "You will have to do more than that," he said. "It would help if you used your snakes." "Snakes?" said Drew. Kahiri scooped down into a patch of grass and grabbed a writhing little snake with a coppery pattern on its back, a yellow belly, and eyes that looked too large for its thin body. He held it up to Corinne's face. She stumbled back. "Why do you look so sweaty?" Kahiri asked. "It's hot," Corinne said. But she felt the akra turning in her stomach, threatening to come up. Kahiri held the snake out farther, so that Corinne had no choice but to take it. "Wowsh!" "What did you say?" Corinne asked. "I didn't say anything," Kahiri said. "Squeeze softer, please." The only thing that could have been speaking to her... Excuse me, the cat changed the chapter. The only thing that could have been speaking to her was the snake. Corinne loosened her grip on the reptile. "Thanks," it said. "What's the matter?" Kahiri asked. "You look like you're going to be sick." "Spit over so," the little snake said. "Please." "Better do what it says," said Cece. "Better do what who says?" Drew asked. "The snake," said Cece. "It asked her not to throw up on it." "Can you hear it talk?" Drew asked Corinne. Corinne could only nod. If she tried to speak, she was afraid she really would throw up. She took a deep breath and draped the snake around her neck carefully, trying not to shudder at the feel of its skin, like soft armor against her own. She remembered the scales Mama Delo had put on her tongue and in her ears. Was this what they were for? Kahiri's face relaxed. "Of course she can hear it," he said. "She's the goddess." Corinne tried to set her shoulders back to relax her muscles, but the unsettling feeling in her stomach would not go away. Kahiri tilted his head and squinted at Corinne. More snakes would be better. "Do you have any little friends, Snake?" Corinne asked. "Why do you want us?" it asked. "Mami Wata always has snakes," she said. The snake made little wriggling twists as it laughed. "You are certainly not Mami Wata." Corinne squeezed the snake again, and it stopped laughing. "I see how it is," it said. Kahiri looked to where he had found the snake and uncovered a few small eggs in the sand. "Look," he said. Corinne grabbed one of them. "Yours?" she asked. "That's a nasty move." The snake gave her a hard look with its green and black eyes, and Corinne felt her face flush. "It's a snare," it said, flicking its tongue. When Corinne didn't put back the egg, the snake lowered its head. "How many of my friends do you need?" "As many as you can bring," Corinne said. The snake wriggled until Corinne dropped it on the ground. It slithered off in the grass. "So now she can talk to snakes?" Buki whispered. "Brother, this Jumbie thing really has its benefits, doesn't it?" Drew took the little egg from Corinne. "You wouldn't have really heard it, would you?" she asked. Corinne wanted to say that she would not have, but she had to get the jewel from Mama Delo. Her friends' lives were at stake.